We bore down on the ship at the sea's edge and launched her on the salt immortal sea. Our ship ran onward toward the ocean's bourne, the realm and region of the men of winter, hidden in mist and cloud. We made the land, put Ram and you ashore, and took our way along the ocean stream to find the place foretold for us by Circe. There, Perimedes and Eurylochus pinioned the sacred beasts. With my drawn blade, I spaded up the votive pit and poured libations round it to the unnumbered dead. Then I addressed the blurred and breathless dead, vowing to slaughter my best heifer for them before she calved at home in Ithaca, and to burn the choice bits on the altar fire. As for Tiresias, I swore to sacrifice a black lamb, handsomest of all our flock. Thus, to assuage the nations of the dead, I pledged these rites. Then I slashed the lamb and ewe, letting their black blood stream into the well pit. Now the souls gathered, stirring out of Erebus, brides and young men, and men grown old and in pain, and tender girls whose hearts were new to grief. Many were there, too, torn by brazen lance-heads, battle-slain, bearing still their bloody gear. From every side they came and sought the pit with rustling cries, and I grew sick with fear. But presently I gave command to my officers to flay those sheep, and then make burnt offerings of flesh to the gods below, to sovereign death, to pale Persephone. Meanwhile I crouched with my drawn sword to keep the surging phantoms from the bloody pit, till I should know the presence of Tiresias. One shade came first, Elpenor, of our company, who lay unburied still in the wide earth as we had left him, dead in Circe's hall, untouched, unmourned. Now when I saw him there, I wept for pity and called out to him, "How is this, Elpenor? How could you journey to the western gloom swifter afoot than I and my black lugger?" He sighed and answered, "Son of great Laertes, Odysseus, master mariner and soldier, I slept on Circe's roof, then could not see the long steep backward ladder coming down, and I fell from that height. My neck bone buckled under, snapped, and my spirit found this well of dark. Now, hear the grace I pray for. When you make sail and put those lodgings of dim death behind, you will moor your ship, I know, on Aea Island. There, my lord, remember me, I pray. Do not abandon me unwept and unburied, to tempt the gods' wrath while you sail for home. But fire my corpse and all the gear I had, and build a cairn for me above the breakers." I replied, "I promise you the barrow and the burial." So we conversed, and grimly at a distance, with my long sword between, guarding the blood. Now came the soul of Anticlea, dead, my mother. Dead now, though living still when I took ship for holy Troy. Seeing this ghost I grieved, but held her off, through pang on pang of tears, till I should know the presence of Tiresias. Soon from the dark that prince of Thebes came forward, bearing a golden staff, and he addressed me. "Odysseus, master of landways and seaways, why leave the blazing sun, O man of woe, to see the cold, dead, and joyless region? Stand clear, put up your sword. Let me but taste of blood, and I shall speak true." At this, I stepped aside, and in the scabbard let my long sword ring home to the pommel silver, as he bent down to the somber blood. Then spoke the prince of those with gift of speech. "The honey light of home is all you seek, but anguish lies ahead. The god who thunders on the land prepares it, not to be shaken from your track, implacable, in rancor for the son whose eye you blinded. One narrow strait may take you through his blows. Denial of yourself, restraint of your shipmates. When you make landfall, on Thrinacia first you will find the grazing herds of Helios, by whom all things are seen and all speech is known. Avoid those cattle, hold fast to your intent, and hard seafaring brings you all to Ithaca.
But if you raid the cattle, I see destruction for ship and crew. Though you survive alone, bereft of all companions, lost for years, under strange sail shall you come home, to find your own house filled with trouble, insolent men, eating your livestock as they court your lady. You will make those men atone in blood.
I said at once, Tiresias, my life runs on then as the gods have spun it. But come now, tell me this, make this thing clear. I see my mother's ghost among the dead, sitting in silence near the blood. Not once has she glanced this way toward her son, nor spoken. Tell me, my lord, may she come in some way to know my presence? And to this he answered,
I shall make it clear. Any dead man whom you allow to enter where the blood is will speak to you, and speak truth. But those deprived will grow remote again and fade.
Tiresias' shade retired lordly to the halls of death. But I stood fast until my mother stirred, moving to sip the black blood. And then she knew me, and called out sorrowfully to me,
Child, how could you cross alive into the gloom of the world's end? Still wandering after years, have you not gone at all to Ithaca? Have you not seen your lady in the hall?
I answered her, Mother, I came here driven to the land of death in want of prophecy from Tiresias' shade, nor have I yet coasted Achaea's hills, nor touched my own land, but have had hard rowing since I first joined Lord Agamemnon's host. But come, now, tell me this, tell me clearly, what was the bane that pinned you down in death? Tell me of father, tell me of the son I left behind. Have they still my place, my honors, or have other men assumed them? And tell me of my wife. How runs her thought?
Indeed she is, poor heart, still in your palace hall. Forlorn her nights and days go by, her life used up in weeping. But no man takes your honored place. Telemachus has care of all your garden and plots. But your father is country bound and comes to town no more. He lies down winter nights among the slaves rolled in old cloaks for cover. He lies now even so, with an aching heart, and longs for your return. So I too pined away, and so doom befell me. Not that illness overtook me, no true illness, wasting the body to undo the spirit. Only my loneliness for you, Odysseus. Only for your kind heart and counsel gentle, Odysseus, took my own life away.
I bit my lip, longing to embrace her, and I tried 3 times, putting my arms around her. But she went sifting through my hands, and wavering like a dream. Now this embittered all the pain I bore, and I cried into the darkness, Oh, my mother, will you not stay, be still here in my arms? May we not in this place of death as well hold one another, touch with love, and taste salt tears' relief, the twinge of welling tears? Or is this all a hallucination sent by Persephone to make me groan again? My noble mother answered quickly,
Oh, my child, all mortals meet this judgment when they die. No flesh and bone are here, none bound by sinew. Dream like the soul flies, insubstantial.
So went our talk. And then other shadows came, sent by Persephone, crowding about the black blood. I took thought how best to separate and question them, and saw no help for it, but drew once more the long bright edge of the broadsword from my hip, that none should sip the blood in company, but one by one, in order. Here was great loveliness of ghosts. How name all women I beheld there, daughters and wives of king. The starry night wanes long before I close. And then Odysseus fell silent. The enchanted banqueters sat still listening. The queen with ivory pale arms, Arete, spoke, saying to all the silent men listening, Phaeacians, how does he stand now in your eyes, this captain? The look and bulk of him, the inward poise. He is my guest, but each one of you shares that honor. Be in no haste now to send him on his way. Remember how rich by heaven's will your possessions are. At this the king's voice rang. I so command, as sure as it is I who, while I live, rule the sea rovers of Phaeacia. Our friend longs to be put out for home, but let him be content to rest here one more day, until I see all gifts bestowed, and every man will take thought for his launching and his voyage. I most of all, for I am master here. Odysseus, the great tactician, answered, Alcinous, king and admiration of men, even a year's delay, if you could urge it, in loading gifts and furnishing for sea, I too could wish it. Better far that I return with some largesse of wealth about me. I shall be thought of greater value and more worthy of love and courtesy by every man who greets me. The king said, As to that, one word, Odysseus. From all we see, we take you for no swindler. You speak with art, but your intent is honest. But now, come tell me this, among the dead, did you meet any of your peers, your companions who sailed with you to meet their doom at Troy? Odysseus, the great tactician, answered, Alcinous, king and admiration of men, if indeed listening be still your pleasure, I must not grudge my part. After Persephone, icy and pale, dispersed the shades of women, the soul of Agamemnon, the son of Atreus, came before me. Sipping the black blood, the tall shade perceived me, and cried out sharply, breaking into tears, then tried to stretch his hands toward me, but could not. Gazing at him, and stirred, I wept for pity, and spoke across to him, O son of Atreus, illustrious lord Marshal Agamemnon, what was the doom that brought you low in death? He replied, It was Aegisthus who designed my death. He and my heartless wife that killed me. There is no being more fell, more bestial than a wife in such action. And what an action that one planned! The murder of her husband and her lord. Let it be a warning, even to you, Odysseus. Indulge a woman, never, never tell her all you know. Some things a man may tell, some he should cover up. Not that I see a risk for you, Odysseus, of death at your wife's hands. She is too wise, too clear-eyed, sees alternatives too well. Penelope, that young bride whom we left behind. One thing I will advise on second thought. Stow it away and ponder it. Land your ship in secret on your island, Odysseus. Give them no warning. The day of faithful wives is gone forever. But tell me, have you any word at all about my son's life? But I could only answer, Son of Atreus, neither news of home have I, nor news of him alive or dead. And so we exchanged our speech in bitterness, weighed down by grief, and tears welled in our eyes, when there appeared the spirit of Achilles. Now that great runner, Achilles, recognized me and called across to me. Odysseus, master mariner and soldier, old knife, what next? What greater feat remains will you put your mind on after this? How did you find your way down into the dark? I answered, Achilles, strongest of all. But was there ever a man more blessed by fortune than you, Achilles? Can there ever be? We ranked you with immortals in our lifetime, we Argives did, and here your power is royal among the dead men's shades. To this he answered swiftly, Let me hear no smooth talk of death from you, Odysseus. Better, I say, to break sod in a farmhand for some poor countryman on iron rations than to be lord over all these exhausted dead. Now other souls of mournful death stood by, each with his troubled questioning, but one remained alone and apart Ajax, because I had won favor on the beachhead in rivalry over Achilles' arms. Gently, therefore, I called across to him, Ajax, you would not then forget, even in death, your fury with me over those accursed calamitous arms. All we Achaeans mourn you forever, Ajax, as we do Achilles. My lord, come near, listen to our story, conquer your indignation and your pride. But he gave no reply. He turned away, following other ghosts back towards Erebus. My heart longed after this to see the dead elsewhere. Now there came before my eyes Minos, holding a golden staff, dealing out justice among the ghostly pleaders arrayed abroad the broad doorways of death. Then I glimpsed Orion, the huge hunter, gripping his club, and I saw Tityus, the son of Gaia, lying abandoned over 9 square rods of plain, vultures lunching above him left and right, rifling his body. And then I saw Tantalus, put to the torture in a cool pond he stood, lapped round by water clear to the chin, and being thirsty, he burned to slake his dry and weazened thirst with drink, though the drink he would never ever taste again. For when the old man put his lips down to the sheet of water, it vanished. Boughs too drooped low above him, big with fruit, pear trees, pomegranates, brilliant apples, luscious figs. But if he stretched his hand for one, the wind under the dark sky tossed the bough beyond him. Then Sisyphus in torment I beheld, being roused about to a tremendous boulder. With both arms braced, legs driving, he heaved it towards a height and almost over. But then a power spun him round and sent the cruel boulder bounding again to the plain. Whereupon the man bent down again to toil, dripping sweat, and the dust rose overhead. Next I saw the manifestation of Heracles. He was a phantom, this, for Heracles himself, a vast figure, rested on me, and of a sudden he said in kindly tones,
Son of Laertes, Odysseus, master mariner and soldier, under a cloud you too, destined to grinding labors like my own in the sunny world.
And Heracles, down the vistas of the dead, faded from sight. But I stood fast, awaiting other great souls who perished in times past. I should have met them then, the god-begotten Theseus and Perseus, whom both I longed to see. But first came shades in thousands, rustling in a pandemonium of whispers blown together, and the horror took me that Persephone had brought from darker hell some saurian death's head. I whirled then, made for the ship, shouted to my crewmen to get aboard, and cast off the hawsers, an order soon obeyed. They took their thwarts, and the ship went leaping toward the stream of ocean, first under oars, then with a following wind.